What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB, your sports guy. Tonight we got a good one. It's the last sports writer that we have covering the entire state. And ain't no better way to end it off where we're going to be talking about today. And I'll get to that in a second. But first, got my co-host from Crescent City Sports, the one, the only, BK Jones. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on with you, man? I guess we in our summer kind of mode because we was in a little bit of the heat today, you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. But we appreciate you joining us tonight. Like, share, tag, and subscribe to the Hash It Out Show on all social media outlets, Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter, but also on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, each and every week. Got a lot going on. We appreciate everybody been joining us for our high school previews, and we're going to end it off strong tonight with our guest.
That's right. This guy here, you can find him with the La Observateur newspaper in St. John Parish. Also, you can find him on the Nick Network Prep Report, covering all the schools in the River Parishes. We got the one, the only Randall Nick Campbell. What's up, my friend? What's going on?
What's going on, gentlemen? Glad to see y'all smiling faces, man. That can only mean one thing. Football time.
Bro, you already know, man. We got the scrimmages coming up next week, then the jamborees, and finally week one. It's been so long, man. 7 months with football. Too long for us, bro.
Yeah, I want to share this with y'all. We probably was together as a group. It was on the ground floor of the Superdome for the 5A state championship, man. And I know a lot of us as guests to the game was all over the place. We forgot about our job and we became gamers. You know what I'm saying? Because that was some incredible games that was on display from all of the teams in the River Parish.
Yeah, you're right. You talk about it. 3 teams from the River Parishes took home championships. Destrehan, Lutcher, St. Charles Catholic. That's pretty big, you know, for a whole area to do that.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, man. It was funny because we run a show on Facebook for the last 5 years, me and my co-host, Coach Ulysses Fonta, man, and we talked about at the beginning of the season that we want 4, that we was trying to get 4. And I think we had a strong case to get 4, but one of those teams, man, they went up north and they met a buzzsaw. And you know, when you play those games, when you playing those games at their home place, it's like, look, nobody was sending me text, video, or nothing like, what's going on? A friend of mine that's from, man, he said, you know what's going on. So we were trying to get 4. It didn't happen that way. But you know what? They say the stars is going to line up sometime. So we just have been fortunate that those guys, because as writers, we understand because we on the ground, we seeing the teams, we feeling the coaches, we have relationships with the coaches, and we understand the dynamics of that area. So I mean, I'm like you, I'm looking forward to what this year is going to bring.
We all are, and I'm gonna be at the Hornville Jamboree checking that out, and I'm gonna get to them in a second. But I want to start with your defending Division I non-select state champions, the Destrehan Wildcats. They lost a little bit, but when we say that, it doesn't really mean much because for years now, Destrehan reloads, and they are loaded everywhere. What can you say about the Destrehan Wildcats?
Well, I can honestly tell you, being boots on the ground and knowing a lot of kids that's from this area, and it's like the lesser of 2 evils when you're talking about Destrehan. Destrehan is close to Highway 61, where it's a come and go area. And a lot of kids that live in the St. Rose, the Destrehans, and the New Sarpy community and the Norco, man, they all have access to that airline. So the minute a kid don't play, they just go quick to jump on that airline and jump into one of those schools. And I get it because some parents work out, and they'd rather be closer to their kids. But saying that to say this, man, Destrehan for years remained as strong. They are not the other school in the River Parish no more. They are that dude. Destrehan High School right now is that dude with that stick, and I'm telling you, they're using it.
They're using that stick left and right. Let's talk about Shane Lee. Shane Lee, to me, is one of the best running backs in the state. Doesn't get enough credit that he should. What can you say about him as a true running back? Because he got the size, and he got speed.
Well, I can tell you this. I'm gonna start off with something simple as called bloodline. Shane Lee has a bloodline of great running backs and ran through the River Parish, mostly on the West Bank, from his grandfathers to his uncles to his great uncles. They all been engulfed in playing running back, man. And when you look at Shane Lee usage is in question because of how Destrehan blew people out. It's no secret. But when it's time for them to get down involved in the game, Shane Lee wants the ball.
New quarterback, Jackson Fields. A lot of talk about this guy going to be special. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think it's Jackson Fields right away. They have a little quarterback competition brewing. And I told Coach Scott, and he's all the jobs are open. And when you have all the jobs open, you create a good competition. And any coach wants good competition because we got to realize we got a 16, 17-year-old kid. We just can't hand him the keys and he wreck the car, and we have him believing in, I'm the best quarterback in the area. It's crazy because in high school, when you that quarterback of that team, you are that dude. You are definitely that dude. So I mean, on a side where you got Braden Finnery, and he's gonna push to the last limit. You was at the scrimmage with Carl. I was at the scrimmage with Carl, and I saw some things that had some concern. So I think Coach Scott is doing the right thing by not anointing them and letting them go week by week to progress and say, you know what? Here's a new quarterback. Iron sharpens iron. We got to this point right here.
The strength of this offense, in my opinion, is the receiving core. They got receivers for days. And you got a sophomore in Jabari Mack who's been ranked the number one receiver in the state for his graduation year. Is this receiving core the best in the whole state of Louisiana?
Man, that's kind of tough because I watched Destrehan for a lot of years, and when we talking about the statewide and this, I know the Mac kid is coming, but we haven't really saw him done anything yet. They got McCollum Smothers that's really good over there. He's about 6'4" and can jump out the gym. He sat back from an injury, and early on, you got some guys like Jace Mitchell, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Guys like that, man, they can go both ways, and they're just athletes. Then you can throw Anthony Robinson in the mix, who was originally a wide receiver, then turned DB and can do it all. So I could honestly say they're up there, but I don't think they're the best yet.
Defense was pretty strong last year for this team. Will it be just as strong this season?
From my observation, no. They got some returning starters. They're still a pretty good defense. But when you lose somebody like Mr. Adams that's in the secondary, you're going to have to replace some corners. Destrehan lost 3 or 4 starters in the secondary. So they played for 3 years together. So it's going to kind of be tough in the beginning. But as they build, they play vulnerable, they get down to the meat of their schedule, you're going to see those guys grow up.
Let's get to the West Bank of St. Charles Parish, the Hornville Tigers. And
my alma mater.
Yeah, your alma mater, my dad, my uncles, my cousins, all of them. You already know. It hasn't been peaches and cream lately for this football program at Hornville. and Daniel Luquette is going into his 4th year. What are your thoughts about the team this year?
It's funny, man. I speak on the record and off the record with Coach from time to time. I remember Daniel when he was playing in the parks. You know, that's how far I go back. And we kept a good relationship, man. It's kind of a tough situation at Hahnville. And people at Destrehan right now, I'm using them for an example. They're winning. So that's putting pressure on anybody that works at Hahnville, man. It's putting pressure on the kids. They have a really good rival going. But the talent level is there for Hahnville. It's just going to have to take 1 or 2 games that's going to really galvanize this team and make a really solid run. They made a good run at the end last year, but it just wasn't good enough.
Ryan Gregson is back at quarterback. Is he the guy that can help steer this ship in the right direction?
6 games under Ryan's belt. Ryan, when you look at Ryan from game 3, because you can remember game 1, they was going back and forth with him and Titus White, and it's kind of tough to put a kid in that position during the game, even on Titus' aspect, go win the game. But as you stated, man, game 2, he got a little bit love. Game 3, he got a little bit better. Week 9, that's when I really started seeing who this kid really was. This kid's a baseball player, man, and this kid can let the ball fly. He passed for 389 yards in a playoff game. In my opinion, if you don't have Abram Booty and Josh Booty and all these type of guys on the other side, I don't pass it that much, and I got a 3-headed monster at running back. So you know what I'm saying? And a big offensive line. But it's a live and learn situation with those guys, man. When you hot, you hot. When you're not, you're not. So if Hahnville can find balance, they have some good kids coming back on offense and defense. For Kobe Lewis, probably be a 2-time. He'll probably play DB and probably play some wide receiver. That's a kid that's 6'3", 180 pounds. We speak about that word bloodline. His father is Donrell Lewis, Mr. West St. John for years. That was wide receiver, went to Tulane, if I'm not mistaken. So he got some kids that can play on the outside playing defensive line. Will be Cameron Dansberg. Cameron played a lot of good ball last year, and he's going to be back again as a senior. And we should see some growth from Cameron Dansberg this year.
Well said. I want to speak about Titus White before I pass it on to VK Jones. Titus White, the wide receiver, getting looked at from some colleges. What else can you say about him?
Man, Titus White is an exceptional athlete. He's a real coachable kid. I have a relationship with Titus White. He came through my basketball program, and every time I try to teach Titus, his ears was like open and his eyes was wide. Any coach that want a kid like that is a can't miss prospect. So I think the sky's the limit for him, barring injury, man. We know for years, man, if Hahnville get that wide receiver that can really fly, man, like Sean, I'm gonna use Sean Boyle, for example, and Mr. Shucks, I got a brain freeze just that fast. Mark Young, all world Mark Young. You know what I'm saying? When you get Mark Young and guys like that, man, I'm telling you, that's what we're gonna see from the Hahnville Tigers this year. They're gonna let it fly a little bit.
Hold on, VK. I got one more question. Does Destrehan repeat as district champions, or does Hahnville take over, or East St. John or Terrebonne? Well,
I'm gonna just let my bravado show. I think it's always been a 3-horse race, and the 3-horse race, man. I'm not knocking Coach at Terrebonne. He's one of us, and I tell you, man, the way it's looking, and we're gonna do our poll this year live on the Nick Network, and we'll have you guys come on and see how we do it and talk. But The real crown jewel is Destrehan. I'm gonna just be real. But when you play East St. John and you play Hornville and you got these home games, man. I don't know if you ever been to East St. John and Destrehan game
Yes.
in reserve. They got the DJ on the track. They got everybody pumped up. It's like it's so intimidating. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So those guys, it's a three-headed race to me, and I think whoever is healthy at the times that they play can probably just grab a hold of the district championship.
Go ahead, VK.
Man, Nick, it's good to have you on and everything. You know what I'm saying? We always, somewhere, somehow run into each other, and I didn't realize it was you. So it's good to have you on the Hatch It Out show, man. You know what I'm saying? And you said Hornville is your alma mater. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to hear what my alma mater is. You know what I'm saying? I came from the place that gave Hornville their ultimate baptism in 1993.
Broadmoor?
No, St. Augustine. 94.
I'm gonna tell you. Look. It's funny you can say that, and we all could remember those games. St. Aug, I'm gonna use that for example. I think it was raining that night when St. Aug came.
Actually, that was the second time. That was the Michael Franklin team when Coach Big has fired them up because 2000 because they kept talking. Because the Hornville people in the media talking about, I don't know if they can play in the rain. And Coach Big is like, man, forget this rain, bro. And all the players jumping in the mud. And I was like, oh, I think they focused because they feel like they insulted. The first time was my freshman year, 1993. It was my freshman year at St. Aug. And that day, that was my birthday. That was the time when Quinn Guidry hit a couple of 40-yard field goals for Hornville to go up 6-0 and St. Aug scoring 42 unanswered to beat them 42-6.
Well, I can honestly say St. Aug was the only city school that dealt with Hornville in those times. You know, at that when the guard was changing, when the Shaws was dying, the West Jefferson was dying. You can talk about the Edna Cars, man. You wasn't coming back to Booty and get no victory like that. And that's just the bottom line. And guys that's going to see this show, I got a lot of guys watch my show because they work at the plants overnight. And, man, they're going to call me tomorrow and say, man, I can tell you when this happened and when that happened. And they got a memory like a fox. But those are some memorable games. And you're right. St. Aug was that dude to really put us on our back when we was least expecting it, right?
Right, and I have a lot of respect for the Hornville program. It was just the fact that season, St. Aug just got hot. It was on like a 10-game winning streak at the time, and the best player just came back into that game. He was out the first game, and then all of a sudden, Sean Rhodes returns against Hornville and has 3 touchdowns. So
yeah, we can
crazy, you know. But I'm gonna ask you this. Going forward, and it's good to have you on the show. Let's go down the line. Let's go to Badgery, to St. James. They're returning multiple starters. Braden Williams and Colby Brown really gonna help things out for St. James. Could this be a big year for Levanta Davis and his squad?
Coach Love, let me tell you something. Y'all probably say like, how does dude get to all of these games? We get that, but Braden Williams, mark this down. Probably if there was in the Metro, he'd be in the top 2 in the Metro. He's that kind of player. And I tell you, man, I watched St. James real close. They got a 6'8" lineman coming back, big guy that's going to be able to protect Braden. They got a running game that's going to be successful. In the past, St. James was small on a defense, you know, quick but small. But now it's gonna level out for the Wildcats. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna be to that East St. John and St. James Wildcats game week 1. I will definitely be in beautiful downtown Vassar for that game right there. That's my game of the week, and I'll be there. But as Coach Davis said, man, he got some guys that's coming to work. They're putting their phones down and they're actually working. They're coming to work. And I tell you, when you have that and you don't have that circus around, you can build camaraderie with your team right away. He spoke about some kids, man. Besides Braden Williams, he talked about Anara Jackson, who's a running back turned fullback this year. He's going to catch the ball real well, and he's going to run the ball real well. But so your running back is not going to take too much of a drop off. He got some good defenders coming back. He got his secondary always stout, man.
Well, now here's the thing. Will St. James have a shot to win the state championship? Because they had a great chance last year. I really thought they was going to take Manny because of the fact that they played a very tough schedule and had some really big wins. But Manny proved that they were too powerful. But this St. James team, they got some huge games coming up.
You was right next to me watching the Manning game, and I asked you. I said for the quarterback. I told you. I said I see why St. James lost. You know what I'm saying? Because when you got I'm gonna use this for y'all, and I'm gonna see how deep we gonna go. When Bell Chase had Chris Henry and a quarterback, you remember that?
Shane Shepard.
What's the, yes.
Shane Shepard.
If you ever see those guys, I'm like, how is Bell Chase winning these games? And it was just these two guys. And with Manny, it was those two guys. They was running the ball. They was real physical. They don't belong in 2A or 3A, in my opinion. They belong in 5A. That was some grown men hitting kids. They was hitting kids. So that's where I'm at with that. I think if St. James could win out, beat East St. John some kind of way, win their district, they don't have lunch on their schedule, and go undefeated and get that home playoff game, I think it can be a different story.
Absolutely, and it's going to be interesting to see it. I think that tough schedule is going to help St. James a lot, and me and Jared is looking forward. We might be coming for homecoming against Lake Charles College Prep. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be huge.
It's another good game.
Yeah,
it's going to be another good game.
Absolutely.
Because
yes, absolutely. But before I continue with the questions, let me address this elephant in the room. We talking Reggie Johnson. Let me tell you something, Reggie. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. Yes, y'all beat Hanville that year, but this is a game that mattered. Y'all fell short to Destrehan that night, and Chuck Parquette senior. And don't get me wrong, it's my boy. Chuck Parquette's my boy. But at the same time, you failed and you lost. So let's end that.
Oh yeah.
But continuing on, we talked about St. James. Let's go to another team. The defending state champion, St. Charles Catholic. We seen we had a little glimpse from Coach Wayne Stein, and what an amazing thing. And I told Coach Stein this. I said, I told your uncle before I interviewed him for the baseball state championship, that second one. I told Frank Monica, I said, I think you prepared a genius, a straight genius. What are your thoughts on St. Charles this season? Could they have a chance to three-peat?
I'm going to say this with the biggest grin on my face. And my sons went to that school. And both of my sons played under Frank Monica. And we watched the Curtis whip St. Charles. We watched the Parkview Baptist whip St. Charles. We watched the U-High whip St. Charles. But what Coach Stein have over in his corner is called creativity. Creativity. And the modern day kids want what? Creativity. Creativity. Even the great J.T. Curtis had to do what? Be what? Creative. And that's what get those kids' attention, man. and not knocking Coach Monica because we watched St. Charles play Lafayette Christian and said, man, we never gonna beat these people. We came real close, 10-7. You know what I'm saying? Then we turn around, we beat them in Tulane. Then we turn around, we beat Dunham. So now, and if you look at that, U High got the gun right now, and a lot of people don't know it. But if St. Charles could, if you see St. Charles' schedule, it will benefit them to really stay away from U High.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That's just my opinion, because when we look at U High, we forgetting about another team that a lot of people not talking about in that 2A division, and it's Calic of New Iberia and Notre Dame. Notre Dame. So they're not gonna stay down for long. They got a new coach, they got some new creative things, so it's gonna be tough for Coach Wayne. But I tell you, they reloaded. They are really, really good. They're gonna be really good.
And the thing is, you know, you talk about Coach Monica, can't forget he finally got them in state championship against a meet. So, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
he
yeah.
got him over that hump, but he's a legend. But at the same time, that division is going to be tough in general. Yeah, University is there. They're going to be good. Can't forget about Dunham because they got that quarterback back from last year.
Yeah, Dunham returning a lot.
And then on top of that, Lake Charles College Prep comes in to the division, I believe. So
yeah,
it's gonna make that division very tough. I like St. Charles to possibly get there, have a chance with 3 people. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be probably the toughest year to try to get.
As long as that game in Laplace, St. Charles have a chance. If that semifinal game is magical, they tailgate, the parking lot is full of alcohol before the game, and people are gonna be excited. Some of these seniors, man, I'm gonna name one, which is Kyle Cannon. Kyle Cannon is Mr. Linebacker, man. He's saying 6'2", 202. That's pretty solid for a high school linebacker, and he can run like the wind.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, and I'll let George Peppers take over on the questions. We go a little bit further down the road in Laplace. Your thoughts of the East St. John Wildcats? They should be having some nice talent return for Brandon Brown in this squad. Brandon Brown trying to get his team to take another step at East St. John. What are your thoughts on the Wildcats?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been trying to get at Brandon for about a month now, and normally I would just pop up. But I had surgery, so I couldn't just pop up. I just wanted to let him keep his space, man. But the East St. John Wildcats are keeping everything tight-lipped. They're keeping everything tight-lipped, and I don't blame them because of what happened at the last of the season. They got a lot of returning starters that can make a difference. They got a transfer in. That's a quarterback that's going to play and be good. They had a kid that was coming back at quarterback and playing. They like to fly. They like to throw the ball. I call them that NASCAR team, man, because they can get it. Mr. Corwell Gray, he can stretch the field. Mr. Quick Six, Zakai Johnson, man, I'm telling you, this dude is everything that's advertised, man. He's really, really fast, and it's gonna be tough, man. Brandon got some good players on defense. He got some interior defensive linemen that's pretty good. He got an outstanding linebacker by the name of Kai Van Fobbs. That's really good. You're going to hear his name a lot. You're going to hear Jerry Phillips' name a lot. Jerry changed his number from number 48 to number 9. And it's going to be the classic battles between the Destrehan, East St. John, Destrehan, Hornville, East St. John, Destrehan. You know, it goes on and on, man. And when you play in this league like that, you got to really keep everything tight-lipped. I know with the media, social media is, and everybody want to know and people want to see and fans want to go. Just throwing this out there, East St. John got one of the biggest alumni throughout this whole state. And, man, nobody's talking, so they're real serious about this team. So nothing gonna surprise me from Coach Brown and his team.
That's interesting in itself, especially and especially for Coach Brown. Meeting him, talking with him, he's a humble dude, and it's not surprising that he's keeping the tight lip because they seem like they took another step last year and had a close game against Destrehan in the state quarterfinals and came up short. And looks like this time, he had to get some humble pie, but still, he feels like that he has a team that can finally get over the hump to get deep into the playoffs and maybe the chance of the state championship. So I really think I don't really blame him for keeping a tight lip. George Peppers.
Yeah,
Nick, first of all, oh wait,
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
Nick, first,
East
Go ahead.
St. John
okay.
gonna be
I don't know if you
matchup
can answer my
problem.
question. I don't know what kind of a pass off this.
Hold on, George. Hold on. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, finish right quick.
Okay,
I said East St. John is gonna be a matchup problem for on offense for anybody throughout the state of Louisiana. Anybody, any classification, and it's gonna start week 1. I can guarantee you that.
Wow. So it sound like that it's gonna be trouble for St. James in week 1. That's gonna be an interesting matchup, St. James and East St. John. It
Yeah.
could be a shootout more than anything else. George Peppers.
hey Nick, first of all, thank you for taking the time to join us and having us educate about the River Parishes. I know you're a Hanville alumnus, and before we dig into teams' prospectuses, and you mentioned Hanville already, I want to know what your opinion is about why this program hasn't been at that level over the last handful of years. Seems like Destrehan has really put the clamps down in the River Parishes, and Hanville just has not matched their level. What is going on there at Hanville? It seems, and I don't want to be speculative or anything like that, Nick. Is it an administrative thing, or is it just that they don't have the same recruiting, well, let's say recruiting, but chops to bring elite athletes back to Hanville like they did a handful of years ago?
Let me explain something to you, and I'm glad you
Okay.
said it. I coached on the west bank of St. Charles in the Parks for 30 years, and the people are not taking it seriously
Right.
because I was a grassroots coach and I taught. We hit, we tackle, we were that type of team. So when you
Hmm.
fast forward the concussion protocol and you got social media and you got flag football, we are starting to give these kids too many options. And Coach Monica and I, we talked about the process, and people don't realize how much grassroots coach. I saw Leonard Fournette play at 10 years old. 10 years old, and he was playing up. So that's how deep that I took my teams out there to play. Guys don't do that no more. They got too many Madden coaches that's getting trusted with these kids, and they can't
Yeah.
implement proper tackling, basic fundamentals, just basic fundamental football. And I'm gonna say this, man, and I'm not throwing nobody under the bus, man. It's the Parks and Recreation system. And the same thing gonna happen to Kenner with the way Kenner went down. So if anybody from St. Charles Parish, I tell them I'm a community leader. I'll go to the council and I'll tell them this is why Hornville is failing. You can blame Coach Luquette all you want, but his job is to get his guys lined up on Friday night. He run his system, they practice every week. But when you building championships, it's the community. It's the community. Destrehan won is the community. They're getting involved, man. They're telling the kid, you got to go to practice, blah, 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 blah. We're not saying, look, Jordy's sick. You don't need to go to practice. And that's what we see. And I'm just keeping it real. Or Drew Brees and Metairie got a flag football league. I want my son to play that. So what's going to happen to him when he get hit on a contact sport for the very first time? He's no good. This is my opinion.
I love your blunt honesty after one question. I like the fact that you just openly let it fly, and that's really cool. I think another portion of it is 7-on-7 football, where that's not real football. That's really not. And maybe I'm being overly critical, But let's talk about some teams in the River Parish. I mentioned Destrehan, Hornville, East St. John. I want to join in and talk about the Lucha Bulldogs. Those dudes won the state title last year. Dwayne Jenkins loses a little bit, and Lucha had a really nice run and needed a big second half to get the job done against North Soto, who's an up and comer and made the finals last year. What do you see the Lucha Bulldogs as it relates to how successful they can be this year?
Well, I can tell you this. It was a classic high school football game against Lucha and North DeSoto. And if we all watching the same game, two plays happened that turned this over for Lucha. Lucha, I'm gonna be honest with you, Lucha wasn't even supposed to be there. In their minds. They had a playoff run that really shocked them. They didn't really get their running game going until the second game in the playoff. So just using this for example, saying when you get a coach like that, they got the lead on Lucha. He tried to rub it in Coach Jenkins' face, and it bit him in the tail. It came back to bite him because every time they try to pass, it'll be a tip interception. Mr. Long will run it back, give Lunch the ball. He'll keep giving Lunch the ball. You don't give a 6'3", 200-pound running back the chance after chance after chance. He will make you pay.
Mm-hmm. 4 straight turnovers in that second half, too. I think flipped that game to Lucha as well. And look, to be fair, the kid from North Dakota, I believe, was a freshman, 9th grader, I believe. 8th grader, 9th grader. So I'm going to cut the kid some slack. I'm going to cut the kid a little bit of slack.
Wait. Don't cut him no slack because Clifton White at Hornville was a freshman in the state championship.
True. I got you. Okay.
So, but a lot of publications got that kid as being a top-rated kid in the state of Louisiana in his class.
They do.
Just by he having the coach that he had.
Mentioning 6-5A, a lot of the prognosticators are going to tell you that Destrehan's the favorite, rightfully so. They're the reigning state champions. A team that's going to have my attention this year, Nick, and I want your opinion. They bring back a good bit of talent. They got a good, young, hungry head coach. How about the Terrebonne Tigers? I think this is a team that you can make the argument that if Destrehan is that team in 6-5A, Terrebonne is going to be that second wheel. I mean, yes, East St. John is going to be really good. Hornville is going to be Hornville, but where are they? But I feel like Terrebonne's got a real opportunity here to make a statement and potentially put some scares into some teams this year and make a little bit of a run. What are your thoughts on the Terrebonne Tigers?
I love Coach, man, and I was saying this earlier. It's always been a 3-horse race. Even in that district, some kind of way, we might put 5 in the playoffs, and that's incredible because we'll bounce back and play each other first round or second round in the playoffs. It's not going to be a black and blue division this year. Terrebonne is Coach Lewis, right?
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, Coach Lewis, he's returning some kids. I just saw Terrebonne with a lot of talent over the years, but I don't think they have enough to battle the big brothers of the district. And the big brothers of the district, let's just go on a caps, little futuristic. Let's say Terrebonne, Hornville have to go to Terrebonne. I could see Hornville losing that game. I could. I don't see East St. John losing that game. I don't see Destrehan losing that game, right? So let's say, look in the crystal ball, Terrebonne come to East St. John. I don't see him winning that game. I don't see him winning that game against Destrehan. So that's that balance. There we go with that balance. I don't think they're ready to be in that top 3 of that district because it's a brutal district.
Okay, let's talk about a team that brings back a named head coach, and that's Riverside Rebels. They bring, is it Lee Wussell, I think, is their head coach now, Jared? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Rebels could be interesting. Then bringing back a name like that. And they've been a team that teased at it. They've been very competitive. Where do you see the Rebels are as it relates to what potentially they can be going into the year?
Man, I can honestly tell you, if you want to talk about studs, we're going to talk about the Riverside Rebel defensive line. They got some studs. And I watched them play against St. Martin last year because I really wanted to see if that Berry kid was that guy. And I tell you, That was, you can tell that was the first team that that guy played that hit him, that hit him, that hit him, that hit him out of bounds, and they kept going. So check this out. Riverside is returning 9 starters on defense.
Right.
That's a lot. And they had some kids that was sprinkle in that was, be able to get some minutes in and play and do some things. But it's going to be hard for Riverside to score points, man. You just don't lose Bill, and you don't lose the quarterback and expect us to go out and play some really good teams and say 10-0, 10-3, like that. They're going to have to find a way to manufacture some points. And if their defense that good, they can give them the short field a lot of the time. They just got to cash in.
Right. Defensively, they're going to be one of the stalwarts in the River Parishes, I think. But like you said, and astutely point out, offensively, they're going to have a little bit of growing pains. I think they're a team that can be better as the season progresses. I don't think they'll be at their peak early. A traditional power that's always been really good, and I feel like this is a team that has a chance this year. West St. John, the Rams, and Edgar. Let,
Now we rolling. That's what
let's
they
talk
say
about
in
them.
Edgar. When you go to Edgar, get you some fried chicken. Now
Oh
we
wow.
rolling. Man, the chicken is off the chain. I try to do my best not to eat it, but it smell. The minute you walk down Sugar Cane Stadium, you're like, oh Lord, hit a
Gotta
$5.
get it.
So, but Coach Thomas, and he done put some life in a corpse, meaning the community that really deserved it. Because I watched the years of West St. John. I'm gonna just be real with you.
Right.
The reason Hornbill and West St. John played those games, the Hornbill game, because it was so big in the community for years. Let's say West St. John play Hornbill, so it never materialized because Coach Valdez gone, Coach Rowe gone, all the great coaches. It was schedules that was there, but Coach Thomas has got them on the right track. They're up to 40 kids. He got this attendance really good at practice. He hanging his hat on about 4 seniors, and 4 seniors and 1A. I think that's pretty good because he got some young kids going back and forth playing both sides. I think the Rams are going to be rolling again.
I think they have an opportunity to, and I agree with you. Let's talk about how areas do well. And look, for the last handful of years, Baton Rouge has owned the Roost, but last year the River Parishes really rose up and got 3 titles. Is this parish? Do they have enough teams? Do you feel like that they can replicate that success that they had last year, or is it going to be a little bit of a bump in the road? I know Destrehan's going to be a favorite, St. James, but do you feel like, as a whole, this River Parish can maybe match last year, or is it going to be a little bit tougher this year?
I don't want to sound arrogant, but I want
Oh,
y'all to
okay.
repeat after me. Something is in the water. Something is in the water
Right.
because it's you can look for 40 years, for 40 years, and I'm well into my 50s. You can't, with West St. John having a down year last year. Uh, I think it was a conversion. They could have made the playoff with a 3-7 record. That was their first time missing in 27 years or something
Hmm.
like that. It got to be something in the water. We got some good coaches. We got some good kids, and I think this is my opinion. We probably not going to see 4, but if we can get 2, that's still a crown jewel, man. Because the state of Louisiana is in layers, and New Orleans, through New Orleans and the River Parish in the south. Then you got Alexandria. Then you got Shreveport. Man, I told
Right.
Coach Scott today, these guys are gunning. Everybody I talked to throughout the state, they're trying to replicate Destrehan.
Of course they are, and I think the River Parishes as a whole has a target on their back, being that they were very, very successful. Last question before I pass it back to Jared. You mentioned the fried chicken and the food, and look, we know one thing: the River Parishes is on point with their tailgates. I've heard, and I've never been, and I plan on doing it this year. St. James has the top tailgate with the jambalaya and whatnot. West St. John is really good, like you mentioned. Who's got the best tailgate in the river parishes?
In my opinion,
Talk to me.
St. Charles Catholic got the number one. Number two would be East St. John
Oh,
because of their alumni. And Hornville doesn't take tailgating serious enough. Destrehan got some scattered fans, and I hope they get at me and tell me because it's a shame. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just get off the show up because when my kids played, we was tailgating at 2 o'clock.
Yes.
And we was looking like Chinese at 5 o'clock. We was drinking, we was having a good time and giving yourself an hour to sober up, then go watch the game. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion. Other people tell you different. Now, Edgar, in the past, they have a big alumni too. In October, if you come out to their alumni function, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked because they got a big dance afterwards. Riverside did tailgate, but it's a split with your tailgate. At St. Charles, everybody tailgate. That one guy, he bring his DJ equipment out. Everybody have a smorgasbord of food to eat and everything to drink. The principal, at that time, he come out, he say hi to everybody and don't buy them. And before you know it, they'll still go in and buy the concession.
I'm surprised you like. I'm honest. I get what you're saying. I like all that. I'm really surprised you didn't really put St. James up there. To me, I always say their atmosphere to me is the most exciting atmosphere all around I've seen in the River Parish. I've been everywhere in the River Parishes. I'm from the West Bank, but I've been everywhere. And when I went to not I know the new stadium is different, still a good atmosphere. But when I went to the old one, I was like, I've been to Hineville, I've been all these places. When I went there the first time at the old stadium, I was like, oh my God, this is like one of the toughest places. I mean, the atmosphere is just so furious. It's unbelievable, you know. So, but I get what you're saying on that. But I love the St. James atmosphere overall. It's
Oh, look, now listen, election is coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a lot of politicians, state senators. They're going to throw a hell of a tailgate this year. They might even have Gremlin Band this time. I know they had Southern Band one time when Lusher played St. James. It was standing room only. They wasn't accepting no media credentials. None.
Wow.
That's how tight it was. But I found a way to get on the sideline. And when the lightning started striking, I said, it's not that serious. I don't want to see Southern that bad. But they do have a great environment. And but you can tell when tailgating is here, it's about those teams that's winning and how Warren Easton, for example, in the last 5 years been to the state championship. They have a big fan base. They tailgating. It's up there now. But you couldn't say that in the past. You get what I'm saying? So they're winning. So you're gonna see some good things. Now, when this video hit the Facebook and some of my people see it, they're gonna say, I'm gonna show his ass when Destrehan play Hornville, we gonna block the road up and y'all can't get back there. And so many people know me, and I eat to the tailgates, man. So I might not get no food this go around.
But do you think it's kind of sad that the Hineville Destrehan rivalry is?
I thought GP was coming to me next. You know, there you go, GP. GP, there you go.
I'm sorry, Jared. I'm sorry, Jared. It just got to my head because of the fact when he talked about Hineville Destrehan. You know what I'm saying? I apologize, Jared.
You were doing so well for a few months, man. You were great. Put your name back on the chalkboard.
I'm gonna say something, and I hope I don't hit y'all in the stomach when I say this. What rivalry?
Wow.
Well, Destrehan and Hornville right now, it's not a rivalry. It's not. It's not. I mean, Hornville hasn't won since 2017, and that was Puka last year.
And I'm not concerned about that because once upon a time we ran off 8 straight.
Right.
And when you look at it, let's talk about poetry. When a poet get ready to start writing poetry, you understand the canvas.
Yeah.
Right now we don't understand the canvas. And when you get that group, we don't see that group to throw on a canvas. And don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna say this, man. When you're in a community like Hornville, and I think Coach Luquette is starting to understand, he is putting his boots on the ground. You see him in Kelowna.
Yeah.
You never saw Darren Barbier in Kelowna. You didn't see Coach Scott Hildebrand in Kelowna. Booty. You didn't see Lou Valden, who somebody said was one of the greatest coaches in all of history. And I believe something is really wrong right there. You know what I'm saying? Because you inherit somebody else's team and you actually won. You get what I'm saying? So when you look at that and you talk about rivalry, we're still looking at the canvas. So I can't see the great 9th grade class that's going to get our attention. So we're going to have to do some coaching by committee, and we're going to have to pump some dudes up. And I'm going to share this before I really get out of here. Hornville always been a massive manipulator of kids, because if you wasn't that talented, right, you would be brainwashed to be that way. I'm telling you, I was in that locker room. So when you get a coach that's going to come in that can brainwash a kid and tell him he's that dude, he's going to believe on Friday he's that dude. I'm not going to look for my dad in the stands and say, Dad, I did good. No, you know you that Don Rob McKenzie.
I want to ask you, and then I'll go back to VK after this. You speak of the community when they tailgate, but the community in the River Parishes love football so much. What is it about this community that makes them one of the best communities throughout this entire state?
MONEY. Always. An organizational structure. And when you look at it, we say the haves and the haves not. I watched Deshran play Zachary, right?
Yeah.
With some hierarchies. And I was listening to the hierarchies talk, and they was impressed with Zachary. So they're 10 years behind Zachary. The coaching is there, but the outfit, these kids and what we was talking about, we 10 years behind with the big Jumbotron scoreboard and the fog on the field. It's about
money.
This.
Yeah.
And look, have any one of you guys went to high school football in Texas?
Yes,
I
have. Yes.
I've been to Dallas and watched. I've been in Houston and watched. And I'm gonna be honest with you. In Louisiana, we just playing. Them dudes are real. It's real. I even had an opportunity to watch in North Florida, and for high school to have a locker room of a Division III school in Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the kind of weight room they got. And I know Hornville got the rock. Destrehan got a nice facility over there. But some of those guys can't compete when you got. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So the Cars of the world, they got that now. I can honestly say it. The Cars got it. It's beautiful back there, man. You know, so we need to get some of these other schools like the Riversides with that they can get that kid. You know, because they got a group in St. John right now. I think they're about 7th and 8th grade. Between Coach Brown and Coach Thomas, man, they're gonna get some good group of kids that's coming, and they're gonna be to make some noise for years that way. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Wait, VK.
Well, I'm gonna, I see what you were saying about Lou Valdin and him having a load. I understand it's your opinion, but I have to respectfully disagree. I really because you have to understand this about Lou Valdin. Lou Valdin basically resurrected East St. John and made them relevant. East St. John was a kind of a dead program back then in District 65A in that super duper Jefferson Parish / St. Tammany River Parish district. So
Well, I never questioned Coach Lou's ability to be a good coach. He's a fantastic person. My nephew played for Coach Lou. They won a championship in '95, if I'm not mistaken.
right.
But if Coach Lou was that dude with that group of talent, they would have won through '97 and '99.
That's true. But my thing is this, even regardless of that, Lou Valdin won the championship that changed the entire game for the state. You have to think North Louisiana dominated for a decade. And for him to win that title against Evangel changed everything for the state. This was a sign the South was coming back. And the South made a lot of noise after that state championship. So I get what you're saying. I think, yeah, I can understand Luke could have won a couple more titles. But I'm not going to really, I kind of respectfully disagree because that championship changed a whole lot. And you have to think the one year that I think it was 2007? Oh, no, 2008, where the entire Southeast Louisiana swept the weekend. All 5 Southeast Louisiana teams won all 5 classifications. First time ever. So it's just the fact of the matter is that state championship started to change the game that the teams in Southeast Louisiana was about to take over again. And that was big in itself. Because remember at the time, teams in the South, it was hard to go up there and get wins. Now we're going up there on the regular and beat them down.
Oh yeah. We watched West St. John, lonely West St. John play the Broody Brothers and had a chance to beat them. We watched St. Charles Catholic play Calvary Baptist and beat them when we going north and south. But when you're looking at a Harville team going to play Ruston or Washington or Neville at that time, right. It was like it was what they say, it was a muscle match, and they all muscled us at that time. I'm just using that for example. So when I peel back the layers and I talked about the South, I talked about Alexandria. Don't be shocked if we got Alexandria up there this year some kind of way, and even Shreveport with the Barbs, not the Barbs, Bastrop, if you can remember, they was pretty good. What's the Benton? Those guys, man.
West Monroe,
yeah.
Bird. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when every 4 years, one of those teams is going to represent in the Superdome, win, lose, or draw, even though they're fighting for kids. And besides Evangel, they had another school pulling kids out of Arkansas, also in Memphis, up north, that was really good at that time. And that's where the split started to come and get a little bit crazy.
You got it.
George,
you got it.
George Peppers, you got another question?
Well, not right. No, I'm good,
You good?
on my end. But no, I just want to thank you, Nick, for joining us, and I'll pass it back to Jaron.
Cool.
Oh man, this is awesome, man. I tell you what, if we would have had a club and just brothers who like football, and don't get me wrong, people say, Nick, why you just talking about the River Parish football? Man, I can talk about any type of football because I'm there. I just left Westminster in Opelousas, digging them out. Coach Porter is one of my really good friends, and he's building up that program over there. He didn't get an opportunity here, but coming from college, he got one over there. So I mean, football is good in the state, man. We just blessed to be in areas that when you go out of state, you can go to Cali and you can talk about New Orleans, and then they say, what that little school in Dufresne or what that school in Hornville, and the job I used to have, they'll have truck drivers come in from Horton and all these different places. They're like, oh, we got that whip. So they, as fans, we recognize how awesome it is to be a part of this state and have football is great, you know.
You have the Nick Network Prep Report. Tell people where they can find that and tune in and listen or read.
Well, on social streams, we got TikTok, we got we do football and basketball, Twitter at the Nick Network 29 or Nick Network 1 on Twitter. We have Facebook, Nick Campbell. I didn't change it over because people knew me as I was and they know what I was doing, so I left it open for them to do that. And we have a Instagram. I have a lot of stuff on YouTube, some interviews on Nick Campbell through YouTube from the state championship, even in the girls basketball championship. This was my very first year covering the girls basketball, and I tell you, man, I fell in love. Yeah. I'm serious. Those girls play some of the best basketballs in that weekend in Hammond. You know what I'm saying? So you can find us on that platform there, and hopefully soon we can all get together and do this again, man. Coach Ulysses Fonta, he's very knowledgeable, and we'll set something up. We'll set something up through JB that we can have us all in, because man, I like a person that's just as opposite as me. And Coach Fonta, he loves Dustran. Tonight he probably would have bum rushed everything about Dustran. And I tried my best not to tilt the wagon a little bit, but I like to talk about all the schools, man. And look, in the past 2 years, I pulled up Kenner Discovery and gave them a little bit of love. They don't have a media outlet out there, but it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough being in this area and you trying to get out and reach Kenner, and they always on the move. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of tough on staff. We got about 4 or 5 people work with me. We run a poll every Monday at a motivational Monday. We get our coaches in our area, the assistant head coaches, that say, I'm out of laws, but this is this. If you go back on the Facebook page or the Twitter page, we tag it and we put it out there to let kids know and everybody know that, hey, River Parish football is real. On my Twitter page, I have about 200 collegiate coaches on my page, basketball and football, to get these kids' name out there, the coaches out there, let them know we still playing some good football here.
Most definitely. Nick Campbell, my friend, we'll be talking soon, most definitely. But thank
man,
you.
I appreciate this opportunity. I'm repping Riverside because the colors that I had on today, they was the only had that match. Just looking through the crystal ball like we always do, I think nobody should sleep on Lutcher. Lutcher's going to be really talented again. Just playing those homes game, got to fall for them. West St. John is going to be good. If you go look at their schedule, and I'll start posting schedules next week. These schedules in the past, West St. John were really schedule heavy, but now they got in the middle where they can be able to do some things. I'll be out there on the 18th watching a 3-way scrimmage between Westminster, West St. John, and East Jeff. I'm going to go out there and support them a little bit. Then I'll catch you at the Jamborees. I'm gonna try my best to do 2 this time. You know what I'm saying? I just wish we had the River Parish Jamboree. Everybody roll out a Thursday and a Friday. The teams get all the money and it be a big old party, but they don't do it like that no more. You know?
Because I was shocked to see. Wait, Hornville got a Jamboree, and it's just Hornville and I think Jesuit. I think that's where they got the Jamboree. I think I could be wrong. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened to Harville against Lutcher and Destrehan against maybe St. James? Yeah, like what happened? That was something
You
big.
you put names on it. The Air Reed Jamboree. Oh my goodness. River
Yes,
Parish Jamboree, man. Bring it back. Let Air Reed cut the school a check and they all divide it.
exactly, exactly.
That's how I feel, man. But it's good. The money is the reason why this state is a split. That's a show for another day. Principals
Yes,
are mad. These what these guys are calling athletic directors are mad. Yeah, they got too many state champions. I want one state unified. That's what I want.
there you go.
I always been that way. I want one state unified because at that time, I think that was 2011. That was the last time.
I want to say 2012 and Winfield,
2012.
Winfield,
Yeah, it
Curtis.
was the
Yep.
last time. Man, that was some of the best football we witnessed in a
Yeah.
long time. So you got your 32. That's what we looking for. 32. The
Yes.
best.
Yes.
Then to cut off that bad scheduling. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Thank you, man. You take care. We'll get with you soon.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good night.
All right. That Nick Campbell of the La Observateur and of the Nick Network Prep Report. Let's do this quickly, guys. District 6-5A, district champion. I'm with Destrehan. I don't think anybody will beat Destrehan. I think East St. John may come close, but I think East St. John and Terrebonne will battle for second place. I don't have Hornville in the top three, which is even hard for me to say because usually it's East St. John, Hornville, and Destrehan competing for district championships. Now, East St. John has come back. They're coming back up. Hornville's not there. We heard from Nick and we heard from Brian Lee that the recreation department is mainly to blame for what's going on in the West Bank of St. Charles Parish. Kids going to Hornville not knowing how to play football already. But with that being said, I got Destrehan. George Peppers.
I mean, are you going against the defending state champions? Yes. Yes, there's a little bit of a semi transition in some key spots. Replacing John Eugene Jr. is going to be tough, but those dudes are loaded and they're going to be the favorites. And if I could use a horse racing analogy, I'm making a one way exact. A Destrehan first, Terrebonne second. I'm going on a limb. I know East St. John um, gave Destrehan all kinds of heck in that quarterfinal. But how
Yeah,
many times have we seen it before? When you play a team twice in the same calendar year, the second time's always the tougher one to get.
right.
I just feel like it's Destrehan's title to lose. And look, I share your sentiments with Hahnville, but having listened to Brian Lee and now Nick Campbell, it seems like there's uniformity to what is plaguing Hahnville. I was looking for a little bit of a perspective from Nick, being whatnot, and he basically is in lockstep with what Brian Lee said on a previous show during Legends Month. So, look, personally, it may be that, but Daniel Luquette ain't winning over many fans with some of the games he's losing. Can't be letting some teams beat you that quite frankly shouldn't. So Destrehan 1, Terrebonne 2, East St. John 3, VK.
I'm gonna say Destrehan first. They're gonna do what they need to do. This is their district to lose, but I think they will win it. Like I said, this team will probably have a reminisce to the 2018. Have to replace George Jefferson and everything, and win with Smothers had managed things to do good enough, but the defense really carried them. That's what this defense is going to do for Destrehan. Second, I got to agree with Jared on this one. East St. John will finish second, but it's going to be close with Terrebonne. Terrebonne makes a big rise this year as they'll finish third, but it'll be really, really close because those two is going to be battling it out, and it's going to be a good one. And very fortunate that I can say that. And at first, I would put Hanville maybe fifth or sixth, but I'm not
Woo.
going to do that because the other schools like Central Lafourche, like Thibodeau and all them, they're going to be a little bit behind the eight ball. So Hanville will finish fourth in the district.
I got the Lutcher Bulldogs winning their district. I do. What about you, George
Uh,
Peppers? Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, you got another reigning defending state champion in Lutcher. And how about them dogs, VK? I don't see any way they lose in that district. Only problem is my man Winfield's not there now. And they talked up this other kid. People are talking this other fella up that's taken over. But I know what we saw last year, and I get what Nick was saying, that game turned on a string of turnovers by North DeSoto. And look, play that game again this year, and I bet you North DeSoto beats Lutcher. Play that game this year, and North DeSoto beats them straight up. But as far as relating to the Lutcher's district, I think Lutcher gets it done, VK.
I agree. I agree that Lutcher will get the district, but be on the lookout for Vanderbilt Catholic. They got a good team coming back this year. I will look out for the Terriers. They will be a worthy challenger to the Lutcher Bulldogs.
St. Charles Catholic is in a district with Newman, and we saw MLK Charter kind of come up, and be a decent team with some athletes, a lot of players on that team from last year go and play college ball. You have to give Joe Riley a lot of credit for what he has and what he's been able to do. But I think Newman's gonna be fine. I think Eli Friend at quarterback is gonna be a quarterback that people are gonna start looking at when they start hearing about him. But I got Wayne Stein and his crew, St. Charles Catholic Comets, once again winning this district. George Peppers.
It is one of the more interesting districts in the state, I think, when you look at these teams, right?
Yes.
Newman doesn't have the spectacle of Arch Manning, doesn't have the spotlight of Arch Manning hanging over them. And quite frankly, when you looked at Newman during the Arch Manning regime, when they played elite teams, they fell on their face. They completely fell on their face. You saw an ordinary Arch. I'm not saying maybe I'm hinting that he's a little overrated, but as far as Eli Friend, he's an interesting replacement. And Nelson Stewart's a very good football coach, y'all. Don't make no mistake about it. And, and you mentioned MLK Charter. Look, they got to replace their quarterback, who's now at John Ehret.
Right.
That's a tough replacement for a school. And look, I love Joe Riley and what he's done for that program and building them up. I don't think they got enough thoroughbreds to compete to be in the mix with St. Charles and Newman. I think they'll effort it, but they don't have enough dogs on that roster to beat those teams. At the end of the day, I'm a defense guy. And look, last I checked, the Comets play pretty doggone good defense, as Dunham in the championship game when they needed stops. They got it, and they were able to flip that game late. St. Charles is a defensive stalwart. Tough first week against Shaw, who I think is going to give him a lot of trouble in that week one game. But VK, for the district, this is the Comets' time again. Until proven otherwise, it's all about St. Charles.
Agreed. Agreed. It's definitely the Comets. It's going to be interesting to see who can finish the second place. Newman, I think they're going to be just fine. And MLK Charter will have talent, but it's going to be tough for them, tough sledding against St. Charles and all these other teams. But don't count out Country Day. Country Day and Coach Cheddar will have his team going together. They will handle some business, getting some wins. They do have a very tough schedule. It's going to help them. But at the same time, St. Charles wins the district, but it's going to be a mad scramble. But I wouldn't be surprised Newman will come out second.
All right. Quickly, guys. Going to the Lake Charles area. I'm going to say this quickly. Sulphur and Barb has two new head coaches. I think Barb improves and goes to the playoff. I think Sulphur maybe another year or two away from actually getting there. I think Barb gets back in the playoffs. Lake Charles College Prep had an up and down season last year, but was put in Division III Select and lost in overtime to Notre Dame. I think Lake Charles College Prep is hungry, and you're going to see a different team in Division III Select. That can give teams like St. Charles Catholic, Dunham, U High, Newman a run for their money this year. I'm kind of high on Lake Charles College Prep this season, especially that overtime loss in the second round. I'm high. Washington Marion, Lagrange, that's the rebuilding programs. Two rebuilding programs. Lagrange got a new head coach, and he's starting off in the right direction with where he wants to lead this program to. So he's starting off. We'll see what happens with Lagrange. St. Louis was a good team last year. I think they went 8-2, got to the playoffs, but I think they lost in the second round of Division II Select. I think St. Louis will be good again, but we'll see how far they can go. I'm not too sure. I would say maybe another second round team. St. Louis is coached by Brock Mathern, the younger brother of Bell Chase great Blake Mathern. Memories coming back in my head, and I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, your thoughts right quick of the Lake Charles schools, George Peppers.
I think it's an interesting region to discuss when you talk about Lake Charles. And let's be honest, the question I have with the big enchilada there is Lake Charles College Prep, and here it is. They finished on a tough loss to Notre Dame, who is a perennial power. They are a state championship contender just about every year. Lewis Cook is an icon in the Crowley area, and LCCP took them to the wire last year. Took them to overtime. I wonder, and look, they're plenty talented, and they schedule tough. They're coming to Vacherie, I think week, what is it, 6? They're going to play St. James.
Yes.
All right, and potentially a game to go see. Hint, hint. Um, and you mentioned Barb and Sulphur. Sulphur is a quarterback that I read about, and his name escapes me right now, but they're really high on this young fella at quarterback. He's 6'3", like 190, 195. They say he's got a gun for an arm, so the Tornado may be interesting, the Golden Tornado. Barb, I think they're going to find their way back, but not quite this year, you know. I think Lake Charles College Prep has a chance to be the team that carries the mantra from Lake Charles. I just hope that the schedule is not overkill for them because I really think talent wise, they've got an opportunity to be very special. And they scheduled on that premise. The St. James game is going to be an absolute litmus test because it's on the road. I don't know many teams that go to Vacherie, VK, and get out with a W. That's one of the hardest home fields in the state of Louisiana to go get the win. The stadium's in the middle of nowhere, all right? And you got to go down there and find a way. Park the bus and hope you bring in your A game because you better bring it. But LCCP's got a real. I'm like Jared. I'm high on LCCP. I think they got a real opportunity here.
Well, looking at the Lake Charles area, in my opinion, I agree with Jared. I think Barb could improve and make the playoffs and everything. Sulfur could be interesting and talented. Lagrange has a lot of work to do. Washington Marion has a lot of work to do and stuff. St. Louis has a very, very bright future with a new campus about to be built soon and everything else with their own stadium and stuff like that. St. Louis is really, really building around there. And I tell you, they got some money too. So I'll tell you, St. Louis down the line, especially the kids they're getting, they're going to have a great future all around. And they got a good team again this year. They should be a real good team. But the team to beat in Lake Charles is Lake Charles College Prep. All I'm gonna tell you is this: this team here coming up has been 4 to 5 years in the making. Remember, Lake Charles College Prep lost to eventual state champion Madison Prep. Then all of a sudden they lose last year. That the year after, up and down. That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, remember?
I think you mean Union Parish.
Or was it? Oh, it was using
And
Paris.
that
Okay.
was in overtime too.
Exactly. That was an overtime game. And then had an up and down year the next year. Then last year they lose to Notre Dame and Crowley in overtime. This has been a 3 to 5 year team in the making. This has got to be their time. especially in that new Division 3 that they're in. This has got to be their time. They are the team to beat in Lake Charles. They could make it to the dome. They have a great chance.
Lake Charles College prep schedule. They start off with Magnolia Charter. Win. What do you think? I say they win.
Win.
I mean, it's unanimous. A W's there.
Week 2, Westgate comes to town. I'm going Westgate with the win.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
see it.
going with
I don't see
Westgate
it.
too.
I don't
Okay,
see them beating Westgate. That's biting off a lot more than you can chew at this point.
It
there
should
you
be a
go.
good game though, but I think Westgate
Right.
wins.
Then they host Opelousas, and Opelousas is a favorite to get to the Superdome in Division 3 non-select. Also, Opelousas returns so many starters, and one of the best running backs. He's just a junior, Deshaun Ford. This is a game. This is a game, but I'm gonna go LCCP by 3 points or less.
I agree.
Hmm.
I go with LCCP too. I think they need a game to a big litness and a big win to prove that they're a contender. That Opelousas game is going to be one of the toughest games of the year. I think they get them in a close one.
We have to understand one thing about Lake Charles College Prep. If we're going to take them seriously as a state championship contender, it's moral victories aren't going to get it. Losing close to Notre Dame overtime, losing close to Union Parish, who's a perennial power. You gotta pick off a couple of these big games. And Opelousas is a very I mean, they're not gonna beat Westgate. I think we're pretty much in agreement on that. Excuse me. Um but Opelousas brings a truckload of experience back. And that is gonna be an absolute war. That game is at Opelousas, Jared? Is
No,
that
it's at
game at
Lake Charles. It's in Lake Charles. Lake Charles
Well,
College
on
Prep.
that premise, I'm going to go with the home team, and it's going to be airtight. I think Lake Charles College Prep pulls off a breakthrough W against an Opelousas team that we just said has an opportunity to do a lot of damage. Maybe that's not the only time these two may meet.
Well,
Possibility.
Opelousas is non-select. Lake Charles
Oh,
is
that's right.
select.
Oh, never mind. Okay, you're right. My bad. I stand corrected. I'm just trying to be all. My fanboy came out. My bad.
It's just like we talked about the other matchup that's going to be down the line that we thought they're going to meet again, but they're not because select non-select.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Week 4, they go to South Beauregard. I got Lake Charles College Prep.
Name your
LCCP on that
margin.
one too.
There we
Yep.
Name
go.
your margin there. I think they win that. South Beauregard's okay, but okay ain't gonna get it done. Like
Ah,
LCCP easy.
by 4 touchdowns.
How about
Week
that?
Week 5, they host Westlake, and Westlake is right when you cross the Lake Charles Bridge. That's on I-10, right there. They
Mhm.
host Westlake, and it's a little rivalry, but I think Lake Charles College Prep gets the win.
LCCP on that one. They should win that one.
I'm gonna concur. I mean, I see no reason to go against them. Geographically, it's a rivalry because they the proximity of the schools, but talent-wise, I think there's a little bit of a gap, and LCCP exploits it and gets it.
Week 6, they play St. James. We are not picking that game, and we'll tell you why on a future broadcast sometime next week. We will tell you why. So we cannot pick that game. Week 7 is the game against St. Louis, right there in Lake Charles. They're
Mhm.
going to St. Louis. LCCP in a close one.
I agree. LCC is going to be a great ball game again with that with St. Louis. St. Louis will probably have maybe a little more depth than Lake Charles College Prep, but I think Lake Charles College Prep overcomes and they get it done. They're definitely going to be the better team against St. Louis. St. Louis is a good team, but Lake Charles is going to
Mhm.
be loaded. It's going to be a good one they pull away.
What a brutal 2 week stretch though for that. You go to Vacherie, a long trip from Lake Charles to go down there, and then you go to St. Louis. Of course, that's an easier trip because it's in the area, but the top end talent makes the difference in a close game. I'll take Lake Charles College Prep by a touchdown.
Week 8, they host the defending district champions. Iowa. I'm going LCCP. Still, they bounced
Pay,
back from last year.
payback for LCCP.
Yeah.
They win that one.
Here's why they win it. Iowa is a program that builds to a crescendo. It's every one class that rises up and wins a district championship, makes a long playoff run. I think they were a state semifinalist, if I'm not mistaken, last year. Iowa, a quarterfinalist, something like that. But I'm with y'all. LCCP gets it done.
Week 9, they go to Jennings. LCCP.
LCCP as well. It should be. They should pull a. It should be one side on Iowa.
Jennings is not a bad program, guys. I know
Not
they've
at
had a
all at
couple of
all.
lean years, but that's a proud program, and those kids are going to battle. I just that game is at Jennings, Jared.
Yeah, that Jennings. Yep.
Hmm.
Tough spot.
It is.
Going
Next
down.
to last game of the regular season, you got to be on your p's and q's if you're LCCP because this is where you sharpen the pencils and iron out the deficiencies, whatever they may be, and you start getting right for the playoffs. LCCP wins it. I think it's going to be a little closer than most people think.
All right, and just to let y'all know, when we do our picks, when the season starts, we may switch our picks. Just to let you know.
Circumstance.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Now, last one, they played Kinder at Lake Charles College Prep. I got LCCP.
Blowout. Blowout. Blowout.
Oh,
Blowout. Blowout.
And you know what's crazy?
And
Go ahead,
Kinder's
man.
a good program, and Kinder's a real good program. But I just don't see it. I think if LCCP has a good record going into Kinder better strap it up and get ready because LCCP is trying to send a message before they go into playoffs.
yeah.
The Yellow Jackets, once upon a time, were Many's little brother in state championship games. Remember, they played multiple times for a state title. They have fallen off of the proverbial banana peel. Are they dogged down? Not quite. I mean, they've been a little bit lean here, but lean ain't gonna get it done against LCCP. LCCP gets it and heads to the playoffs on the right note.
Our good friend Tori is watching, as you can see right there. LCCP, baby. Hey, go tell Coach Eric Franklin I still want him on the show, even though he never answered my text messages. Go ahead and tell him that, fella. I know you know him. But anyway, before we close the show, man, I was able to go to a coach's luncheon today, and thanks to my good friend VK Jones for sending an invite for me to go. I appreciate it so much, man, and it was a joy to be there. Just to be around all these coaches, talking to coaches, seeing all these head coaches talking to one another, hugging, and they're all friends, man. And it was just it was just wonderful. I got to give a shout out to a guy we had on the show last week, Mr. Ken Trahan, one of the guys that puts this together every year. And I want to be back there next year. I really do, man. It was a lot of fun, VK. I enjoyed it. Even though one time I needed VK help because I am on crutches, and I like VK gonna help me, and he didn't come. Then he comes like 2 minutes later, my bad, and then I needed to use him as a crutch. He ran away from it. What kind of friend is that, George? My
I
God.
don't know. And let me correct one thing, Jared.
All right,
There
go
is
ahead.
a postseason luncheon the week after the state championships. All right, they do it. They throw it together after the state title games. I don't know if it's going to be at Francesca's. That's the name of the. That's where I went today.
No,
Quarter
no,
view.
quarter
Quarter
view.
view.
Quarter. Oh, Francesca's is the pregame site for the original. Okay, I'm sorry. Quarter view. Um, I just need to know, was the food good?
Yes.
Mm,
Oh
thumbs
boy.
up.
Yes.
Oh,
That was up.
waistline hurting a little bit. It's all good. But
I
yeah,
bet. I
Jared.
bet we
There
lost. We
is a
lost a
post
little bit of that.
there.
We lost a little bit of that waistline at St. All practice today.
Well,
Yeah,
Sadly.
sure. I mean, you're out there in that
real
110-degree
for real.
stupidness. But
Woo!
I mean, look, man.
Why do you
You
think we
who needs a
need?
diet? Who needs a nutritionist? Just sit out there in that heat. You gonna lose some weight. Trust in what I tell you.
Dude,
That's gonna melt like
dude.
the glaciers,
Yeah.
Why you
and all
think
that stuff.
Why you
What's
think
up?
I'm in a white shirt and this man's in a cutoff shirt for the
Yeah,
I
show?
see that.
We just came out the sauna, dude.
we did. Like literally,
Yeah,
like
well done.
yeah,
Well
we
done,
got
though. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad, Jared, personally speaking, that you got the experience to speak to some of these coaches.
yeah.
Um, I'm happy for you that VK was allowed, but say, dog, Judas over there leaving you on the lurch with a crutch? Man, I'd have took that crutch and went doink. I'm kidding. I'm kidding when I say that, but he's supposed to help you out. You're a man. You're a man in need. I mean, still recovering.
I need to put my
We
hand
are
on the
blessed.
shoulder. Could have made it. VK took off, man. I got to dip down and grab tables and try to make it because I couldn't
What
cross
the hell?
get the food, man. That dude just left me. But I was like, what the hell? Like, what kind of friend is that,
People's
man?
elbow. He got that people's elbow treatment. I'm just saying. I'm just
Nah,
kidding, though, when I
I
say
mean,
that. But again, I'm very happy that y'all got to enjoy the luncheon, and it's a great experience. And look, to rub elbows with coaches and reporters like Ed Daniels. I'm sure Ed was there today.
yes,
Yes, sir.
Ed
yes,
Daniels.
sir.
You're
Man,
rubbing elbows with people like that. This is the part of the business that you get to see, and we'll
go
frequent
ahead.
this more as the season goes on. As we get ready to roll, and can't wait to see what happens. Especially can't wait to see what happens. But we teasing, but stay tuned next week. That's all we're
Next
gonna
show.
tell you. Stay
Next
tuned.
show.
Next show,
We got
Tuesday.
some big
I think it's
news.
gonna
Big
be
news.
Tuesday.
And
But
Tuesday.
it's
Go
a
ahead.
great sight to see that we see two coaches sitting right by each other that combined for over what almost 40 something championships. Timmy
Yeah.
Bird
JT
and JT Curtis sitting right next to each other.
and who else?
Timmy Bird.
Timmy
Oh,
Bird.
Timmy Bird, Riverside. I got you. Basketball.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah,
Man, it was fun, man, and it was funny. I forgot who me and VK were talking to, but Coach Hank Tierney walks up and sees VK first. What's up, man? And he shakes the other guy's hand. He look at me, man. What's going on? What happened to you? I said, my brother didn't tell you? No. What happened to you? I told my hotel attendant. He leaned his head back and was laughing. I was like, Coach Hank in my mind. Coach Hank is a character, man. He's a character.
one of the
You
great
gotta,
guys, man.
yeah, you gotta love him, man. You gotta love
Hmm.
him. Well, look,
Absolutely.
we're gonna go ahead and end this show. Want to thank everybody that tuned in. Thank you for all your comments. Want to thank my co-hosts VK Jones and George Peppers. Especially want to thank our special guest, Mr. Nick Campbell of the La Observatoire and of the Nick Network Prep Report. Coming back Tuesday. We're probably going to just talk about some scrimmages that's coming up. Which scrimmages y'all can look forward to. Stuff like that. And we'll talk a little other stuff also. We might say, let's talk about the Catholic League District, who wins, stuff like that. Make it real interesting before we get really right into it. And we can definitely confirm for week 1 our 2 special guests, Wayne Stein of the St. Charles Catholic Comets. We talked to him today. He's coming back to be on the show. And South Plaquemines head coach Lyle Feet. That's the week 1 guys that we have. So, man, we getting things lined up. And truly, truly want to make this show a magnificent show for each and every one of y'all that tune in and watch. Live or watch it recorded. Doesn't matter. But that being said, we are back Tuesday night. Thank y'all so much. Y'all take care.